So a couple of days ago, Scott Gimple did tease that there is going to be a character that's going to be returning in The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live. And of course, this is just a tease. I'm not sure if he confirmed it or if he teased it, but it is a thing. And now, like in today's video, I'm just going to be discussing about that, which characters could be coming back, and just my thoughts and own theories about it. So please stay tuned. And now, before we actually get into the video, I'd like to ask you all to like, share, and subscribe. And again, thank you guys so much for the growth. Thank you guys so much for the support. I really appreciate it. And I want to let you all know that my previous video, which was about the leaked trailer, got hit with the copyright claim. It was not a copyright strike, so this channel is not affected. And I'm not sure, like the lengths that a copyright claim does affect a channel. So, like maybe it did affect my channel to some extent, but it's very unlikely. And now the reason why I'm telling you all this is because this video was banned, like not really banned, but like it was blocked off of the US, Canada, South Korea, and Spain. So if y'all go on my channel and if you guys don't see that video, I did not remove it. It's probably just banned and you guys are just not seeing it. And we do have a goal in mind for this video specifically, and that's if this video reaches 1,000 likes, I will do something very special for this channel and something new for this channel. So for all of you who are watching, please hit that like button and that subscribe button. It helps a ton. But without further ado, let's get right into the video. And now again, as I said in the start of the video, Scott Gimple did tease that a character will be returning in The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live. And of course, the first characters that do come into mind are Morgan and Daryl. And of course, Morgan and Daryl are very likely to show up in The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live. I will be touching upon them. But today's video, I wanted to make it a little bit more interesting. So the first character I want to talk about is Shane Walsh, and of course y'all may be thinking that Shane is dead. How will he return in The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live? And I did make a video about Shane returning in this show, and that was very early on in my channel, right? It was probably one of the first 5 videos that I made. And of course the theory goes as this, that Shane is going to be showing up in Rick's head. He will be seeing Shane, and of course it is confirmed that Rick will be going back to his red machete phase. And as we all remember, in season 9 of The Walking Dead, Shane did show up in Rick's vision, and he did tell him to go back to that red machete phase. He told him, that is the way that you should be, that is the way to go. And of course, they did tease that a character is going to be coming back, and it'd just be very cool to see Shane, just showing up in Rick's head, and just provoke him more to be like his red machete self, and just kill people without hesitation. And of course, we did see in a few trailers when Rick is a CRM soldier, it looks like that something is in his eyes and he's just going full insane. So what if that Rick has basically a phase in him that just happens at the most random times? He sees Shane, and then Shane tells him to do something. Shane tells him to kill a person or a soldier, and Rick does it because he just goes insane. And I think that would be a very interesting way to implement Red Machete Rick into the show, and just to give him more of an explanation as to why Rick went back to that phase. And of course, again, how I did mention before, in season 9 Shane did tell him to do that, and after his visions, we did not see what Rick actually did become, if those people did stay in his head, like Herschel, Glenn, and Shane, if they stayed in his head, or it's just just a thing just for that moment, or he's still being provoked by them and he's still being told what to do by them. And now the next character I want to talk about is Glenn, and just like Shane, I think that Glenn has a likely chance to appear, and I think that I've seen a few people in the community actually talk about Glenn showing up in The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live. And of course, the theory is practically the same as Shane's. Glenn might actually come into Rick's head, or it might be both Glenn and Shane. And of course, this could be a two-sided thing where Shane tells Rick to kill and be his red machete self, where Glenn tells him to calm down and not to do the things that he did. And also because Glenn did not show up in season 9, in Rick's visions, both Carl and Glenn, which didn't make sense at all, but of course, like it's probably like Chandler Riggs and Steven Yeun's decision, but it does seem like that they're more open to do stuff like that. So it is actually pretty likely that Glenn could show up and he could actually tell Rick to calm down and, you know, just not kill people and to find a way out. And of course, like, we might get these scenes of Glenn and Shane talking to Rick when Rick is alone or when Rick is actually in a tight situation. And like for example, like in the trailer, I'm not going to show any screenshots because I did get a copyright claim for my last video, but you know, in the leaked trailer we did see that Rick was fighting Okafor, and like Rick is fully ballistic there, so it is likely that Shane could have told him to do that, and then afterwards when Rick is looking in the fire, or if he's just looking and he's like, what did I do? That's when Glenn kicks in. So again, like it would actually be very interesting to see that dynamic there of both Glenn and Shane showing up in Rick's head. And also we could get a moment where, like, you know, Rick actually does talk to Glenn and he's trying to say that he's sorry, just like in season 9 of The Walking Dead when Rick is talking to Shane. He says he's sorry for killing him. Maybe like Rick does say sorry to Glenn, or he does tell Glenn that, you know, Maggie and Herschel are both safe, and, you know, like Herschel's all grown up and stuff like that. Of course, he did not see Herschel in today's time, but he did see Herschel when he was an infant or like a toddler. So like, again, like it would actually be very nice to see Rick and Glenn interact again. And now the next character I want to talk about was Heath. And of course, Heath did disappear in season 6 of The Walking Dead. And Scott Gimple or Angela Kang did tease that Jadis traded him off to the CRM. And of course, in World Beyond, everybody did think that Heath was going to be showing up in that show. And of course, like they did not confirm if he was dead or if he was alive or if he was an A or B. So it is very likely that Heath could show up in this show. Now, personally, I feel is that Heath is not talked about as much as the other characters, like such as Morgan and Daryl, to show up in the show. And I think that Heath is the perfect candidate to show up in the show, and like it's gonna throw everybody off guard. Now, if he's gonna be a CRM soldier, I think that'd be very interesting because, again, like, you know, you would have somebody that is like, you know, a fairly legacy Walking Dead character. Of course, he's from season 6 and season 5 of The Walking Dead, so, you know, it'd be very interesting, you know, just to get Heath's story, his side of it, and how did Jadis trade him off. And now I did hear another theory that Heath is actually a CRM experiment now, and of course, like that would mean that he's an A. And of course, like for all of you who don't know, Bs are people that are being taken to the CRM to work for them as soldiers and whatnot, and A's are test subjects that are bitten and they're traded off to the CRM to get tested on. And it is very likely that Heath could be an A, and you know, that only depends on the actor for Heath. And if he actually did agree to have a part in this show, maybe we might see a file of Heath as like a little Easter egg. But personally, I think it would be a very cool callback to like the earlier seasons of The Walking Dead, just to have Heath in there. Or maybe he shows up in the first episode, or he shows up like just as like a small cameo and then he gets killed off. You know, that could be very possible as well, because Heath is not a major character, and the only reason why he's an interesting character is because of his potential connection to the CRM. And now the next character I want to talk about was Morgan. And Morgan I've talked about in almost all of my videos for The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, and that's just because his likelihood of being in this show is fairly high. And that is because, again, Carol did show up at the end of the Daryl Dixon spinoff, and with the rumors of The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live having a potential season 2, it's very likely that they could be adding Morgan at the end of this show, at the end of season 1, of course. And the only way I could see this happening is with the post-credit scene and them showing Morgan's journey with Mo and him looking for Rick Grimes. And like, again, like how I mentioned in all my other videos, the ending of Morgan's final episode in Fear the Walking Dead was very open-ended, and that's because he was looking for Rick Grimes, and it was a big callback to season 1, and it is very obvious that he's looking for Rick. He said he's going to be going to go look for Rick, and of course Morgan does not have his own spin-off, so The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live season 2 could be like a Morgan spin-off. And like, you know, the other way I could see Morgan showing up in the show is that if they show like, you know, the bottle that Rick did throw in the end of season 11, and Morgan actually finds that because of course Morgan is the one that's doing the traveling, including Michonne and Daryl, but I think that Morgan is the most likely character to find it, and that's because Michonne already found Rick's boots and his bag, and it was only the bottle that was left that wasn't found, so that is very likely that Morgan could have found that. And now the next character I want to talk about was Daryl Dixon, and of course Daryl and Rick's reunion is the most anticipated one by the fans, and people are saying that Daryl could show up in this show, and I think that that is highly unlikely, and that's because you got two big main characters of The Walking Dead, Daryl and Rick, and they would not show Daryl and Rick's spinoff, they wouldn't show Rick and Daryl's spinoff. So I think that what they would do is that they would actually hold this off until the big crossover event. But if Daryl were to show up in this show, I think that it's just going to make the timeline even more messy, and it would just have to take place either right after the end of Daryl Dixon, which is having a season 3 as well, so that's gonna spoil season 3 of Daryl Dixon, and also season 2 as well. But the only way I could see it is that if Rick hears Daryl's radio transmission that he was doing with Carol, probably that static noise was Rick trying to come into it. I don't know how does it work, but that could be likely as well. Or they could just have some sort of tease to Daryl, or Daryl could show up in Rick's head. Who knows? Because all of these characters could show up, and they could all show up in Rick's head, right? They don't have to be there for story purposes or anything like that. They could just show up in Rick's head, just like how Sasha, Shane, and Herschel did, just to guide Rick and, just to give Rick that drive to go back to his family. I think that would be another way to implement Daryl in, and also with Norman Reedus being on set of The Walking Dead, the ones who lived when the shooting did start a couple of months back. Again, it's likely for him to show up in the show, but it wouldn't make sense. And now that's it for today's video. I'd like to ask you all to like, share, and subscribe. And again, thank you guys so much for the growth. Thank you guys so much for the support. I really, really appreciate it. And we have a goal in mind for 5,000 subscribers. So if you guys want to be part of that journey to 5,000 subscribers, please like, share, and subscribe. And also, we do have a goal for this video specifically for 1,000 likes. So if you guys could make this video go up to 1,000 likes, I will do something special for this channel. And of course, my last video was removed due to a copyright claim. So if you guys don't see that video on my channel, that means that it was banned in your country. So if you guys are part of the US, Canada, South Korea, or Spain, you guys most likely won't be able to see that video. So I do apologize for that, and I will keep an eye out for those type of things, like for example copyright and stuff like that, because I really want to give you guys the best experience, and I want to cover all of the news, but it's very hard doing that when leaks are being taken down all over the place. I didn't even use any video footage from that trailer. I just used screenshots, and they still hit me with the copyright claim as soon as I hit 10,000 views for that video. But it happens. It is what it is. I don't mind. I'll just keep it in mind for the next time that we do get a leak of that sort. So if we do get some sort of news or leak of anything else related to The Walking Dead, like for example a leaked trailer, leaked footage, I will be covering it, but I won't be showing any screenshots. So just keep that in mind. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching.